You ever get that kind of dull, kind of empty but cagey feeling like you should be doing something, but you don't actually know what to do? You're restless, but you're also kind of unmotivated at the same time because there's just no clear answer, or you're not actually even sure what the problem is. If you've ever been to the zoo, I'm sure you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when I give you this image. Because if you've ever visited the big cat enclosures where they're just pacing and pacing and pacing and pacing, I get it. And I know that feeling all too well, and I bet you do too. So let's figure out what it's all about, shall we?
Welcome to the Human Narrative Podcast, where we share stories that resonate amongst us all.
Welcome back to another episode of the Human Narrative. I am your host, Clark Webb, and I am so happy that you joined me today because, well, we're talking about a really important topic, yet a probably rarely discussed topic: boredom. And I promise you that this episode will not be boring if you stick with me, because there is a lot more to boredom than meets the eye, just like the Transformers, which have absolutely nothing to do with this topic or episode because, sadly, no, this episode and the podcast is not sponsored by Hasbro, which would be amazing, but that's just not the case and makes zero sense. But Transformers just kind of rolled off the tongue as I was writing this, and I tend not to edit my thoughts or writing, so, well, there you go. Welcome to my mind that likes to connect all sorts of random things, sometimes that have nothing to even do with each other, but I digress. And back to the topic at hand. So, other than the quick and easy answer, what is boredom? Now, as a parent, when I take away my son's electronics, what I often hear is, "Oh my God, Dad, I'm so bored." And sure, in those moments, my son's version of boredom, in other words, is quote unquote, "I have nothing to do, Dad." Although he has plenty of options, just like we all have plenty of options when we're feeling quote unquote bored. So let's dive into the internal narrative of the very dramatic and very sweeping statement, "I have nothing to do." And let's figure out the feelings behind it all, because there are a lot of hidden answers in that statement and how it feels or how it manifests in our life as boredom. Because the fact of the matter is, as grown humans, there's always something that has to be done. Now, if you're a parent, you're probably juggling a job, school or daycare, laundry, preparing breakfast, lunch, and dinner, packing school lunches, cleaning the house, extracurricular activities, managing pets, scheduling playdates for the kids, budgeting, paying bills, going to the gym, trying to start a business, supporting a spouse or partner, and planning life and family activities with them, and maybe even having a social life of your own and or just some time to yourself if you can fit it in. Now, for the non-parents or single adults out there, I have no doubt that much of that list resonates with you in one way or another, but I'm sure you'll probably add to it things like having a social life, trying to figure out a dating scene, or trying to find a date, or maybe trying to date, maybe working too many hours, climbing the corporate ladder, trying to start a family. I mean, the list of to-dos for everyone could go on and on and on, yet somewhere in many of us is this overall sense of boredom. We have so much to do, but yet we are bored and we feel like we have nothing to do. And maybe boredom is not even the right word to describe the true feeling. Maybe that's just the easiest one that comes to mind because we don't know what else to call that dull, somewhat empty yet cagey feeling that comes to mind even while we're busy as hell. But listeners, I have the word for you. We are going to name it right here, right now, and it's called languishing. And the definition of languish is to, quote, to lose or lack vitality, end quote. But it can also be defined as, and I think that this is the really powerful definition, it can be defined as to suffer from being forced to remain in an unpleasant place or situation. And I believe that the feeling of languishing is fed by a lack of purpose or passion, which leads to being stuck. And if we get to take that idea and concept and apply it to the quote unquote, "I don't know what to do" phrase, what do we get? I don't know what to do for my purpose. I don't know what to do with my passion, or maybe it's as simple as I don't know what to do because I don't know what my purpose or passion is. And there's the rub. Regardless of how much love we have for our life, our family, our friends, maybe even our jobs, we sit and we get stuck in a life that begins to feel monotonous, and we languish, and we call it boredom. Oftentimes with friends, when I or they or all of us together are willing to admit that we're feeling this way, I make a joke, and I call it Groundhog Day without Bill Murray. Now, if you don't know the movie Groundhog Day, Bill Murray is this cynical, smartass, asshole TV weatherman who finds himself reliving the same day over and over again when he's visiting the small town of Punxsutawney to film a report about their annual Groundhog Day. You know, the infamous day when the famous groundhog Punxsutawney Phil hopefully sees his shadow, which I feel like never actually happens, but I believe in the movie it literally doesn't, and that's besides the point. Because what's important is that for whatever reason, Bill Murray gets stuck in this literal loop of Groundhog Day happening over and over and over and over, and he cannot get out of the cycle. So it eventually just leads to the most ridiculous antics over and over and over because his character knows that no matter what, he'll have the day all over again to do whatever he wants, and why not do anything and everything that he can think of? I mean, in the movie, he even drives a truck off a cliff with good old Punxsutawney Phil in his lap, and the truck explodes and they die. But don't worry, listener, if you haven't seen the movie, Bill Murray and the groundhog both survive because, alas, he wakes up in his bed the very next moment to start the same day all over again. But the important part of the movie, and why I bring it into the discussion, is that Bill Murray's character realizes in order to get out of the rut of the ever revolving day, something has to change. But not just something, he has to change. So, being a rom com, this comes in the form of him realizing that he loves his female counterpart, played by Andie MacDowell. But more importantly, the change really comes from realizing that if he wants her to love him in return, he has to become a better version of himself. Now, we can all stand to learn from Groundhog Day, even if, unfortunately, Bill Murray is not around to offer us some levity on a day to day basis. If we feel stuck, bored, passionless, purposeless, or in some state of languish, something has to change. Now, I know that many of us cannot make massive, drastic changes in our life. Maybe some people can. Perhaps their life affords them the luxury of just starting all over in order to break the cycle of boredom that they find themselves stuck in. But even so, I imagine they, whoever they are, still have jobs, career paths, and responsibilities to attend to that don't really make completely starting over feasible. If you're like me, a parent, regardless if married, partnered, single, divorced, or a co parent, simply starting over, wiping the slate clean, quitting our job, taking time to quote unquote find ourselves, whatever it may be, it's not a possibility. It's just not. And it is what it is. So, what do we do? Well, no matter what side of the fence you're on, here's an option. Don't look at the overall picture of life and where you want to be or where you hoped you would be today. If you're bored or languishing, focus on small changes that can take place that will realign you with who you want to become. Even if you are living your passion yet you feel bored, maybe your soul is telling you to shift slightly and need to fire the passion up again, or maybe it's trying to tell you that your current passion has taken you away from your purpose. Because unfortunately, my friends, passions and purpose, they don't always align. If you feel that you're not living your passion or your purpose, or you simply don't know what they are or could be, well, here's a question you can ask yourself that can begin to unveil the truth of who you are meant to be. So write this down, my friends, and ask yourself this question as often as you need to. And the question is this: if time and money were not an issue or hindrance, what would I want to do with my life? I'm going to repeat the question one more time in case you didn't jot it down or now you want to. And the question is this: if time and money were not an issue or hindrance, what would I want to do with my life? Now, asking yourself this question can open a whole can of worms, as it's intended to do, but it can also be a double-edged sword. So as you begin to figure out your passions or your purpose, it's easy to look at the big picture compared to where you're at and get overwhelmed. And that thought, how the hell am I going to ever get there, can reverberate over and over in your head. And then the fear and the boredom kind of mix together and create this emotional, mental, and spiritual tar pit that makes you feel even further stuck. So go back to what I said earlier. Don't look at the overall picture and take everything one small change at a time. And to help you with that idea, I have an analogy. You are on the edge of a wide ravine. Where you want to go, who you want to be, aka your passion or your purpose, it's on the other side of the ravine, but there is no way across. The ravine is too steep and it's cluttered with debris and slippery, sharp rocks, so there's no way to climb down and then up. The only way across is that you have to build a bridge. But the ravine is wide, meaning the bridge across would be substantial, thus, you get overwhelmed by the scope of work. But you have to push that fear and doubt to the side and focus on the one thing that you can do. You can lay a plank down one at a time. And maybe at times, it needs to get even more focused than that. And instead of one plank at a time, you focus on one nail at a time, even if there are thousands upon thousands of nails that need to be hammered home. But if you focus on one nail at a time or one plank at a time and you forget about the end goal, eventually you'll look up from your work and you'll find that your bridge is complete and you've finally made it to the other side of the ravine. Small, consistent shifts and changes over time can bring amazing changes, my friends. Start laying your planks and hammering your nails today, and you'll get to where you want to go sooner than you expect. So, there you have it, my friends. That's the narrative for the day, and I'm sticking with it. Much love and much life until the next episode. I appreciate you, I appreciate your time, and I really appreciate you supporting my podcast, The Human Narrative. I can't wait to bring you more valuable episodes, so I'll talk to you next week. Bye.